Hello, everyone. This is Jim Ransom with another edition of Morning Jim Poetry. This has been a pleasant week of reading a lot with uncertain weather around here and some rain. But of course, today when I have to get this program ready, it's been beautiful. It's been cool in the 50s at night and in the mid 60s during the day. Not too bad. I've been reading also Edna St. Vincent Millay as well as William Butler Yeats. And I think I'll keep Edna St. Vincent Millay's poetry for another week. Yeats was a very hardworking guy who considered himself Irish, was born in Ireland, but he was one of the British expatriates who had land in Ireland and considered himself Irish, although people in Ireland didn't think he was, I'm afraid to say. There's no evidence I could find that he spoke Irish, however. No, I think we have to think of him as an English poet living in Ireland, but enthused about Irish themes. Yeats's father apparently had money from his work as an actor and other activities in the world of arts. But also, I don't think it's outside the question that the family may have inherited some money. He had been in love for a number of years with a beautiful woman named Maud Gunn, but she had a boyfriend and two children, which he discovered about later. And she was not really in the mood to become the mistress of William Butler Yeats. Let's start out by reading one of his early lyrical poems. This one's called A Child Dancing Upon the Shore. Dance there upon the shore. What need have you to care for wind or water's roar, and tumble out your hair that the salt drops have wet? Being young, you have not known the fool's triumph, nor yet love lost as soon as won. And he, the best warrior, dead, and all the sheaves to bind. What need that you should dread the monstrous crying of the wind? Maud Gunn's lover, and I'm not talking about Yeats, who was sort of her secret lover, I guess, was a guy named MacBride, who fought on the Irish side in the so-called Troubles after World War I, when the Irish rebelled against the British. But MacBride was captured and executed by the British for his rebellion. And by this time, Yeats had married Georgia Hyde Lees, another expatriate Briton. And so I don't think he was able to pursue his lifetime love with Maud Gunn. And he had a lot in common with Georgia Hyde Lees, who was quite wound up in esoteric things such as automatic writing. We don't hear much about that anymore, in which one's hands are guided by the spirit world. Yeats took this up as well. This must have kept them busy, because I didn't read that they had any children. And of course, Yeats would have been about 50 years old when he first married. So let's read another poem that he wrote during this period. And it's kind of an eerie reminder of the recent death of Elizabeth II of whom Yeats, of course, would have known nothing. But if the poem had been written last week, well, we would have thought exactly what it was about. The title of it is Fallen Majesty. Although crowds gathered once, if she but showed her face, and even old men's eyes grew dim, this hand alone, like some last courier at a gypsy camping place, babbling of fallen majesty, records what's gone. The lineaments, the heart that laughter has made sweet, these remain, but I record what's gone. A crowd will gather and not know that through its very street once walked a thing that seemed, as it were, a burning cloud. That's Fallen Majesty by William Butler Yeats. And if that doesn't have a contemporary ring to it, I don't know what did. Perhaps that's a sign that good poetry is sometimes freed of its chains to its time, and it can float around and pop up in any appropriate historical spot. And I think this is a good example of that kind of poetry. Now, I think everybody who's listening to this probably realizes that the most famous poem that Yeats ever wrote, one that's had the biggest audience, is called The Lake Isle of Innisfree. And so here we go. I will arise and go now and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin build there of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee-loud glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always night and day I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore, while I stand on the roadway or on the pavement's gray. I hear it in the deep heart's core. Yeah, that is a beautiful poem. A beautiful poem indeed. That I told you that was one of Yeats's most famous poems. And so here to end our Yeats reading is another famous poem. Again, it is eerie how it seems to foretell World War II. Just listen to it, and I think you'll see what I mean. Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dim tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Surely some revelation is at hand. Surely the second coming is at hand. The second coming. Hardly are those words out when a vast image out of Spiritus Mundi troubles my sight. Somewhere in sands of the desert, a shape with lion body and the head of a man, a gaze blank and pitiless as the sun. He's moving its slow thighs again. while all about it reel shadows of the indignant desert birds. The darkness drops again, but now I know that 20 centuries of stony sleep were vexed to nightmare by a rocking cradle. And what rough beast, its hour come round at last, slouches toward Bethlehem to be born? Well, he was foreseeing, wasn't he? He was foreseeing World War II and Hitler. That's the way I interpret that. Because that poem was written before World War II had struck. I think we see how it is eerily foretelling World War II. But, how do we know that? Perhaps it's foretelling another disaster not yet arrived. I don't like to think about that, but it could be. Okay. There's much predicted here that is similar to what is going on in the world today, but that's all for now. Be sure to tune in next week. We'll have another blast, this time with Edna St. Vincent Millay. Whether or not she was the best 20th century poet, she certainly had the most romantic and poetical name. Don't you think? Bye now.